here now.
Hide your coin purses, people. Elizabeth is coming. Persona 3 Reload is on the horizon, people. And with it comes a bevy of changes to the Persona 3 formula that at least I am greatly anticipating. Persona 3 is a great experience marred and kind of bogged down by a lot of design principles and characteristics of Persona back in those days. It's an old game, and that's fine, nothing wrong with that, but when it's being remade, opportunity strikes for us to have changes made to make the game feel way better than it did before. Persona 3 Portable is the version that I have been playing personally, and while my thoughts on it overall are mixed, there's one aspect to Persona 3 that I think needs significant revision going into Reload that I don't think should actually take all that much effort. See, the Elizabeth requests are a variety of side quests in the game, where Elizabeth sends you out and has you go achieve some kind of objective. That may be go acquire some material that a boss or an enemy drops, clear out a section of Tartarus, go on a weird fetch quest, feed a cat, dump coins in a fountain, and then sometimes you have requests where it asks you to fuse various personas. Now, if you've played other Persona games, you're no real stranger to this concept. A lot of the other Persona games have this idea where it's like, okay, we're gonna make you utilize Persona Fusion in some capacity here. Fuse this persona, right? Like, that's not out of the realm of possibility. It's understandable. I think the problem that I have with Persona 3 Portable's version of this, and I'm pretty sure the other games have this to some degree as well, is just I've been really noticing it when it comes to Portable, is that it's not just a matter of fusing the persona, you have to acquire or achieve some other tertiary objective alongside that persona to achieve the request. Like, it may be create Loki, or get Loki somehow, but make sure Loki is level 63. Or it's like create Alice, which is fine of itself, requires 5 fusions, okay, that's a few steps there, but okay, that's doable. But have Alice with Mabufadine. Mabufadine, these nuts, got him. Now, I am a firm believer in a very simple design philosophy. When you look at a piece of content, or you look at a decision that was made in terms of the design of something, you should ask, how does this make the game better? Now, there's only real 2 avenues that I can think where having these kinds of requests, and it's not just the Persona Fusion requests, there's a lot of them that just kind of exist to be grindy. What do these really add to the game? Well, you can view them as a puzzle to be solved, and sure, if you enjoy that type of puzzle, I can understand, but personally, I don't. And the other is that, well, it elongates player time. Now, if you're on a budget and you just want a reason to play the game, because you know you're not going to be able to get another game for quite a while, I can understand that. A lot of older games have that kind of design idea where it's like, okay, we're going to have a bunch of stuff in this game that exists mainly just to make you play the game longer, instead of being inherently interesting by itself. A lot of older games do this, it's kind of understandable back in the day, because if you're only going to get like 1 or 2 games a year, you want that game to really like fill out the clock for you, right? You don't want to just be over with it in like 2 weeks, or even 2 days and call it a GG, and then just have like nothing else to do until the next time you actually get a game. So having grindy stuff in this game to do that is technically optional gives you an avenue to just keep playing the game and still achieve some kind of objective. I can understand that, but personally, I find it rather dull, uninteresting, and just taken away from the core experience. Especially when it concerns like the requests where you have to fuse a specific persona, like say Alice with Mabufadine, which is one of the ones I had to do recently. That one wrecked my persona loadout inventory, because Alice requires like 5 other personas that I just don't use. So I had to make room for that. I had to make room to be able to fuse those personas to begin with. And then I realized, wait a minute, I don't have a Mabufadine card. I need to find a way to get one of these other 5 personas with Mabufadine. So it just kind of amounted to me looking up how to make Alice with Mabufadine, realizing I had to make a succubus specifically with Mabufadine, and then use that as fusion material to make Lilith. Not Lilith, Alice. I may be mixing up Alice with Lilith, by the way. So, like, forgive me about that. But, like, I had to, like, fuse that persona using succubus with Mabufadine, which was just needlessly grindy and not all that interesting for me. And I had to get rid of personas that I didn't want to lose because, well, I had to make room for them. I had to play in an unnatural way that wasn't exciting or interesting for me as the player. Now, there's a lot of different Persona requests in Persona 3 Portable. Some of them vary. I really like the date ones with Elizabeth. Those are fun. They don't take up time. They're just a fun little cutscene with Elizabeth. Kind of helps flesh out the world as well. Those are great cutscenes, and I'm glad they're bringing those back and possibly even expanding on them. That's great in my opinion. And there are others that I don't particularly mind, where it's like, go kill these mobs in Tartarus. Those are just like, whatever. The ones where it's specifically go kill the golden hands, those are just kind of annoying to get the farm, or get the spawn, because sometimes you'll attack them, even get the ambush on them, and they'll just run away immediately. It's just like, okay, do we have to do this? I think when it comes to Reload, I hope they actually expand on the interesting aspects of like a side quest system when it comes to Persona. Expand on the Elizabeth requests, specifically the date ones. You can have Persona Fusion ones, I don't think that's necessarily a problem to have, but I would argue don't really have the need to put in a tertiary objective alongside them. Just have it be fused to Persona and GG. I'm in two minds about rewarding Personas for those Persona Fusion requests as well. Like, on the one hand, it's cool that because I'm pursuing this side quest chain of Elizabeth requests all around Persona Fusion, then I get a new Persona that I can fuse that's really good. There's an argument to be had there, but at the same time, it's like, can I just fuse the Personas? So I'm in kind of two minds about that. I think a system that could be greatly expanded on is the whole rescue operation, where some people will get trapped in Tartarus and you have to go find them and rescue them. You can bake that into Elizabeth's request and just extrapolate on it, like expand on those characters and expand on that character development, and there's a lot of potential there. I think the best Elizabeth requests are the ones that add to the story and not the ones that just force you to grind for a bit. I wouldn't argue that this is like a make or break situation with Persona 3. Like, Persona 3 Reload is gonna be crap if they don't do this. I wouldn't argue that, but if you're going to make all these systemic changes to Persona 3 already when it comes to Reload, I really hope, and I'm kind of leaning on the side that they are, that the request system is something that receives a drastic overhaul on the whole. There are ways to make these side quests far more interesting and enticing than they are in the current implementation. Now, I'm just spitballing ideas, but imagine if the Elizabeth request was something more along the lines of, hey Makoto, I got this new persona that I want you to test out and see if it will be beneficial to you in Tartarus. So go and beat like 5 fights with this or something. And she gives you a new persona that you can utilize and play around with. Or like those requests where she wants the old documents from the end of each floor of Tartarus. Have it be that Elizabeth joins you at the end of that floor, and you and her have like a conversation about everything going on in the main story, or what the old document's about, and just about Tartarus in general, and trying to like peel back the layers of the intrigue and mystery around this tower. I think the general rule of thumb is have it be a gain to the gameplay experience, or have it be an avenue to have more dialogue with Elizabeth to expand on the world and develop these moments and these characters in the backstory. They're already making a lot of changes to the Persona 3 formula going into Reload. This is absolutely one of the avenues that I think they can absolutely knock it out of the park with. Because even if you don't make a lot of changes to the request system, just cutting off a lot of those tertiary requests, like it's like create Alice with Mabufadine. If you just change that to create Alice, it's infinitely better, at least in my opinion. You can gain the components to fuse Alice in whatever way you want, and it feels far more natural in that way, in my opinion. Like, you do that one simple change, and I think most of my issues with the request system, if you do similar changes throughout, become so minimalized that they're not really an issue. Because I like having the side quests, I like having these secondary objectives to pursue while I'm climbing Tartarus. I think that does add value to the experience. So it's not just a matter of, okay, new floor Tartarus, let's get to the highest floor as fast as possible. Or let's grind XP as much as we can. That's another thing. Give players a bunch of XP for accomplishing these quests. That could be really cool. It would also minimalize the amount of stuff we have to grind in the game. Where it's like, you can gain levels either by just grinding mobs ordinarily, or you can go do these Elizabeth requests and gain a bunch of XP that way. That could be really cool. I think one of the reasons that I'm making this video overall is because, one, I've been grinding off stream to do all these requests and it's an absolute toll, but also Elizabeth is my favorite Persona character, so I want to see her requests done in a way better way, in my opinion. Now that I think about it, you could even go in the route of, say, Persona 5 with this system, with the whole Mementos requests. Instead of having us fight random enemies to gain, well, what we need for certain requests, have there be like little mini-bosses throughout that we can find on a subsequent floor, fight, and achieve the request. That way we're not just like walking around Tartarus repeatedly hoping we get the right spawn on a random enemy. A little bit more player agency, a little bit more direction, and I think this system can really fall into place and be far more beneficial and additive to the overall experience than just being kind of a distraction and a meaningless grind. And since they're kind of making changes akin to that for the rest of Persona 3 Reload, I'm optimistic and hopeful that they're going to do something along those lines for Persona 3 Reload's Elizabeth requests as well. So I'm going to call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts. I love to hear your thoughts, your opinions, and your perspectives. And hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload and stream in the future. Bye bye, everybody. Until we meet again.